if you've got folks that that were registered and they're missing information, and they were registered in the last 90 days before the election, and they've got Hispanic-sounding last names, that probably is a suspicious voter.
All right, that was conservative activist James Womack telling members of his election protection group to discriminate against Hispanic-sounding names. CBS actually confronted Womack with that video, but instead of apologizing for the statements or maybe even retracting them, he doubled down on everything that he had to say. He said this: "The Hispanic-sounding last name certainly is not exclusive," Womack told CBS, adding that mispronunciations and misspellings of Arab names could also be suspicious. So he's like, also the Arabs, anything that sounds just not white, I guess. Womack's group, which is filing through voter rolls to find improperly registered voters, is part of the Election Integrity Network. So a little bit more on that. That is a large collection of right-wing activist groups, which we reported on yesterday here on the show. And the head of the Election Integrity Network is Cleta Mitchell. She's a longtime Republican election lawyer who participated in the January 2021 phone call in which Trump pressed Georgia's Secretary of State to find him some 12,000 votes in Georgia. But the Election Integrity Network is actually a part of an even bigger coalition of right-wing activist groups. And these groups usually claim that they, of course, just want free and fair elections, because why would they claim anything otherwise? In reality, though, they're planning to throw as many wrenches into this election as they can in order to really just sow some kind of chaos and create an opening for actually malicious actors. The groups have been scrutinizing voter registrations on an industrial scale and working to slow down the vote count, bury local election officials in paperwork and lawsuits, and elect like-minded politicians at the state level and local levels who will support efforts to contest the vote. I always say, you people, you have to vote in your state and local elections. That's really where it makes a lot of difference. And that's where a lot of these bad actors lay a lot of the groundwork. You don't get to the presidency without starting at the local and state levels. But anyway, Womack also says that he and his group are assembling county by county lists of potentially suspicious voters who can be challenged during the critical period between election day and certification. The investigation would include looking up voters' home addresses, scouring property records, voter registration information, and the date the person registered to vote. So already this sounds like a nightmare. We are already so tired from this election, and they're really just going to make it very difficult between November, December, all the way through the holidays, making it worse for everybody. I want to start with you, Mondale, on this one, because you are a locally elected official. What do you make of all of this, all of the game playing and all of the obvious bigotry, but just like the general chaos that is ensuing?
Yeah, I think people forget that, like, removing people from the ballot is the name of the game for Republicans. When voter suppression wasn't enough, when they had to be sued to stop their tactics, this was the natural progression. We watched Brian Kemp when he ran against Stacey Abrams the first time, purge so many voters as the Secretary of State, which I don't even understand how he was allowed to keep that position while he was running for governor, and then purge so many Black and brown voters right up at the election time. So I think this is the way that we know that, listen, the tactics of Republicans have not been the way to gain a majority of Americans for a long time. But their tactics of blocking people from the poll, police departments setting up roadblocks within a mile of polling locations, and then voter ID laws, which indiscriminately discriminates against people of color, specifically Black people. And then it's just all of these other tactics that does nothing to expand or show folk that you're working to make America great or making it more inclusive. So what you're gonna do? You're gonna start calling out everybody with a Spanish-sounding name or Arab-sounding name to get them off the ballot. And the reason you probably didn't say Black name is because most of our surnames come from slave owners. So I think this is the disgusting nature at which we find our politics, because we don't hold Republicans accountable. And people do sit out too many local elections and act as if politics only matter at the federal level. And then we get stuck with situations like this. But also I don't want to put the blame too much on voters and take it away from the parties, because if the Democratic Party would invest in state parties year round, then this wouldn't happen, and Republicans wouldn't control about 75% of the state legislatures, which create these laws and these rules that put us in these spaces.
Yeah. So look, it's a super tight election, but I think that if the Republicans weren't so deeply racist, they might landslide the Democrats. And so I don't want that to happen. I don't agree with their policies, but I think that that's probably the reality. Like if they said, hey, huge problem with immigration, it uses up our resources, et cetera. Again, we might agree on some things, not agree on a whole bunch of it. We might not agree on the policy, but looking at the polling, they would easily win that contest. But when they go in and they go, look out for the Hispanic names, you know how they are. Well, I mean, where's the racism? The Trump guys are always like, what's he racist about, right? So in this case, it's not Trump, it's one of the local Republicans. But guys, yeah, this is what Republicans say all the time. There's the racism. Make sure you're suspicious of Latinos. It doesn't get any more racist than that, right? But just for fun, they sprinkled in also the Arabs. That's probably how he pronounced it, right? So also the Arabs. Really, there's a lot of people who are Arabs who are doing voter fraud or pretending to be Arabs? Because this is my favorite part of the story. At least it got funny here. He's like, now you got to look out for the people mispronouncing the Arabic names. And you would know that? You would know how to correctly pronounce them and that they are mispronouncing them. And that your other Yahoo right-wing loons who are looking out for the fake Arab voters would know how to pronounce the Arabic names correctly. On which planet? So these guys, I mean, they're awful, but you usually put something funny in how crazy they are. But the most important part of the story is that, oh, they are bad guys, they're racist. No, the most important part of the story is look at them going at the local level, trying to intimidate people from voting on the other side, all across the country. While they're screaming about, oh, voter fraud, and they're interfering in the elections. They're like, okay, let's get an army of people to interfere in the elections and try to make sure the Democrats don't vote and we screw up the election so that our side gets more votes and we block them from voting because that would be a fair way to do an election. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. You guys are bragging about cheating while you're pretending the other side is.
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm sorry, Yasmin.
No, you go.
I was gonna say, well, listen, Cenk, in their case, absolutely that would be fair because they don't believe that people that look like us on this show should be voting. We should not have a say in what American politics look like. And I think when we forget when they say "Make America Great Again," they're talking about a time when white men were the only people that had the right to vote and a right to do and say whatever they want with anybody else's bodies or humanity. And I think if we are naive, if we don't believe that's what they believe, because if you see Trump flags, you also see Confederate flags. And that is a reminder, a stark reminder of what it means to be a Trump MAGA cult member.
Yeah, even the Trump flag kind of looks like a Confederate flag, especially at first glance. I've seen a few of them flying around where I live, and it's very jarring just to see it. And it's the same thing, though. It's the same tactic that Trump has been doing for so many years already. He says way in advance, before anything has ever happened, oh, there is going to be voter fraud. And so then whenever things don't go the way that he wants them to, then he said, see, I told you, voter fraud. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's so prophetic. How did he know that there was going to be voter fraud? Even though, of course, there is no proof of it. But there's actually more to this story as far as election fraud and tampering and election interference and all of that. There is a conservative who has accused a group of nuns of voter fraud now. No one is off limits. Even the nuns are not safe. On Tuesday, a right-wing operative in Pennsylvania named Cliff Maloney insisted that he had stumbled across a conspiracy, okay? This is very serious stuff. He posted that the monastery of the Benedictine Sisters of Erie had 53 registered voters listed under its address, but no one lives there. Conspiracy, right? In reality, though, plenty of nuns do live at that address. 55 nuns live at that address, to be exact. And nuns have lived at that monastery for over 50 years since the year 1970. So there are a lot of other details in Maloney's story that don't really add up. This is reporting from the Dispatch. It says Maloney said that a canvasser, whoever that was, alleged that a lady working in the building told him that no voters reside in the monastery. And this account puzzled Linda Romy, who was the coordinator of communications and development for the Benedictine Sisters of Erie. There is no sister at the monastery who would have said no one lives there. She told the Dispatch, even if Maloney's canvasser had run into a guest, our guests know that people live there. Like, who would have told this canvasser any of this? She also, although Maloney claimed his canvasser had knocked on the door to the monastery, Romy questioned how a canvasser would have done so. People don't knock on our door, she said. It is a significant front entrance, double glass doors, and you walk into a switchboard that is attended from morning till night. In other words, that is a very unlikely story that he's retelling. One nun, Sister Annette Marshall, told CNN this. She said, we're used to being accused of things like being too active, and we've always been very vocal about peace and justice, but I've never heard us accused of fraud or not existing. Join the club. Another nun named Sister Diane Cook said, we're not a group that's just going to let them walk all over us like that. People can vote for whoever they want to vote for, but don't lie. Ooh, she's sassy. Meanwhile, it seems Maloney is still unconvinced. This is what he had to say. He addressed the Benedictine Sisters of Erie's response that its residents are legal voters, saying he appreciated the monastery's public reply. Once we have proof, we will be content, he added. Until then, know this, we will expose and report, and the situation needs explanation. Maloney ended the tweet by saying, this is political warfare and we won't give an inch until we have fair and secure elections. Yes, everything is war. Everything is a conspiracy. Everything is not as it seems and nothing is real. They sound crazy and they create this kind of false reality where you can say something and say, well, if you can't prove that it's not true, then it's not true. And that's not how the world works. That's not how logic works. It's crazy. Cenk, what do you think about the nuns?
Yeah.
Okay. They seem to exist because they're responding to him. So at least we know that much.
So Republicans, you must be so proud. You're in a political warfare with nuns. And you don't even know which way the nuns are voting. When they asked them, they said, we're nuns. We tell people to vote their conscience. Of course they do, right? So, but why is this guy all animated about it? Because Trump's got them all riled up. And all do right. They don't even exist. I bet it's the nuns. I bet it's the Latinos. I bet it's the Arabs. Oh yeah, or the fake Arabs. No, guys, man, it's not. What are you doing? What are you doing? And so people who say Trump's not dangerous, well, spreading massive lies that gets into millions of people's heads. Remember, not everybody's that stable. Not everybody's that bright, right? So this yahoo's out there doing political warfare against nuns that he doesn't even know which way they're voting, let alone he doesn't even know whether they exist. But the fact that they're making crap up, he didn't go there. It's obvious he didn't go there. He's like, oh yeah, I bet it's voter fraud. Like that's their first reaction. This is a natural consequence of Trump being a pathological liar and a spoiled baby who's still complaining about the 2020 election and trying to find ways to steal this one. Monday, last thought.
Listen, guys, here's the screwed up part for these dumbasses. You're at political warfare with people who got God on their side. You're gonna get your spiritual warfare ass whooped. Like you're gonna get mollywop. You're not gonna beat nuns at war. This is absolutely ridiculous to me. This is the same thing. This is how I know these people are politically unserious. Latinx voters are not sure voters for Democrats. And actually, what we find out is the more they come here, the sooner they are to come here, the less likely they are to be Democratic voters. And this is the dumb nature of Republicans and how they talk about people.
Yeah, it just drives voters away for no reason. When you might have gotten those nuns votes, you might have gotten the Latino votes if you didn't hate them so much. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.